Welcome to Marketing 247 Consumer Behavior, offered online by Harper College. My name is Dr. George Mochocki, and this course is in conjunction with Blackboard Course Management System. So if anyone's looking at this YouTube, there's a lot more than what you see right now. Okay, so this week we're going to be covering chapters 18 and 19. Before I get into the chapters, you're all doing very well. What I wanted to make sure that you get into, look at the research paper information. If you click on that thing, you have a real quick YouTube re telling you what's required, so you can start working. Remember, you should already have a file already opened. You should already went with the basic requirements for the paper. You have my concept mind map, what I'm looking for in this paper, and you should be fine. So okay, so now let's go back to the weekly requirement. So this week, what we have in this week, let's go right into the form. I think that's the most interesting. This week form, you're gonna have like you did the last couple of weeks, but you're going to be doing, I have several YouTube clips for you to look at. Some YouTube clips, I've always provided you with the link. The first one you'll have one main one, the Tinket Company, 16 minutes, and it's this one's from chapter 19 on organizational behavior. If I look at it, my background and everything else, it comes from the corporate side. So mine is, if I look at organizational behavior from a marketing or from a human relationship portion, organization have culture. Organizations, just like consumer behaviors. When I look from marketing, how do I market and sell to business? A little bit different than consumers. I mean, they have a personality, they have an outside image. Everything you're learning about consumer is applies to organizations. Only it has some little changes to it. A consumer, if I would, there's a lot of consumers out there, let's say for lack of better words. Even though my target niche, I have a lot of consumers. And if I mess up with one consumer to do something good with the consumer, one may tell another one or may not. It all depends, you know what I mean, through word of mouth promotional techniques that we've been reading about. But the other thing with a business to business relationship, it is more relationship. You don't have the Motorola's or the Abbott Labs coming to my shop, I come to their shop. So what I want you to look at this one takes you from the history of the company and how it manipulated and it changed and it grew and it always adjusted to different outside customers, other businesses, but to understand businesses, to sell to business as a business consumer, because what's a business? When you look at a culture, there's a lot of individual consumers have different kind of uh, needs and ways they buy from a consumer. So, but now I'm buying for, instead of buying for my own self, I'm buying for the organization. And that could be procurement, it could be supplies, it could be contracting, it could be outsourcing, whatever it is, they are considered a buyer. Because if I'm making a contract and they're going to be paying me for whatever service, then it's an organizational behavior. So I have to understand, and when you read about this chapter, you're going to find out about different buying centers, different individuals, influencers, key individuals, similar to what you learn about in the family. So okay, so this one here, now there's about 6 or 7 questions. I think this is a small group, so you should do pretty good. I want everyone to at least take one question. If no one's answered the question from this Temp Kent company, there's 6 of them. Answer one, respond to it, and post into your for like a bit in the subject area, the question, which question you're doing, and then you'll be fine. And other people could read it. So this way it makes it a lot easier instead of everyone doing all 6 questions. So the first one is question one, post it, say, think of question one. Here's what I think, and then you can look at it and agree or not. Okay, so you take care of that. Now to keep the forum going, since we have a whole week going, you will have other one. You have a Geek Squad. So you'll have and I got them listed by chapters 18, 19. I would like you to do after this major forum, look at 2 other clips and post them. Just give you your impression. What do you think about it? When you look at the clip, I got a little a suggestion what the clip's about and what I would like you to post about. So click one. So if someone does Geek Squad and another person, let's do Best Buy payback program. Viewer discretion due to language content. And there's Ozzy. there's a couple of cuss words, okay? So, but if you're very, since I don't know you personally and I don't want to offend you, it's just a warning. In business, we always give you a warning. A lot of times we have a lot of commercials that there is no warning, but it's out there. One's named Junk, YouTube, Free Cycling, Eric Ryan's Method, Weird Corporate Culture, 19 is another good one. Goldman Sachs quits and writes serving op on, what do you call it? Goldman Sachs, one of their executives quit. And what he did in a Facebook and a YouTube, he says what the culture of Goldman Sachs is, that they aren't really as customer focused. Remember the image that the marketing and everything else portrayed of Goldman Sachs is that they're out to help him. Now, on the flip side, when you look at this video, this is just a vice president, and he says no, they're making fun of them. They're out there really to rip off the investors. Now, you have to look at this. If now there's a PR campaign, or there was a PR campaign out there. What you have to look at it from consumer behavior. If I'm a company or if I'm another business, would I want to operate a Goldman Sachs? Now, is this employee, vice president, is he writing this YouTube and posting this on YouTube because he's upset with the company and he's very vengeful? Because that is something a lot of employees do, that they get laid off or something, they get a promotion or something happens. Okay, so I want you to read it. Remember, you to do the main one question. Everyone to select one question. One question's already selected. Pick the next question, and then after all the questions are selected, you could you do more than one question. But everyone should get a chance on that. And same with the YouTube. Take one or two. You all know the drill already, so we should be okay on that. Okay, so we'll go back out of that. So that's our forums, our YouTube. You answer that. 20 points on that. Let's see. You've got the full learning objectives. Your quizzes today, this time, what I did, I broke them up in two things. There are 10 questions, or they're, what do you call it, multiple choice questions. There's no essays or short answers on this one, but you'll have quiz 1, which will cover chapter 18. You have quiz 2, which will cover chapter 19. So remember, you have 2 quizzes, and this should help you a little bit on there. Okay, so what do we have for this week's discussions? I'm going to make sure you try to use the conceptual maps, because remember, you're going to take the final and everything else. The concept maps are a nice way to study. It's you can write your notes. It gives you a quick overview of what you're supposed to be learning out of the chapter, and they're there. You know what I mean? It's another way of learning the information. Okay, so now, if I'm going to go on the concept map, so I'm going to go on this one, I'm going to go on chapter 18. Chapter 18, we're going to be talking about post-purchase processes. This whole chapter, real quickly, is a good reading, good information, is after I purchase a major decision, a big item. I've got that feeling. Look at it after I got married. You know, I'm all excited to get married. Oh, I love everything else. I love her. She's the best woman in the whole world for me. After I got married, or before I got married, I had that question. Man, this is for life. Now, after I get married, for the next couple weeks, you know, we had our little differences, or we had to do an adjustment period. So, but at that time, I always had all these things. Is she the right one? Is that nothing? The same thing happens when you do a big item. You make a big decision. You have this post-purchase, what do you call it? The dissonance, what they talked about. So you can look at during the purchase process, how that works. You can look at your uses process, and then how to dispose of it. I think this whole chapter on 18 shows you how to dispose of it. You'll trade one in, you know, a lot of batteries. Sometimes the government makes you, because of the lead and the acid and the batteries, they give you, you have to have a deposit to get it in. Other times when you're doing like, if you're doing any kind of car parts, they make you bring in a major part, because they can rebuild them and resell them, but they need the major hub, for lack of a better word. Look at the evaluation, the satisfaction. You're looking at products. You know, make sure you know the difference between product use and non-use. Purchase evaluation. If I look at purchase evaluation, anywhere along the system, I'm either satisfied or dissatisfied. And they look at different kind of performance. When I buy something, what is the performance? What's the dissatisfaction process? You know, if I am upset in business, when I was managing and I had various different departments reporting, customer surveys, those are, look, some customers, if you did a good job or a mediocre job, an average job, what I paid for it, I'm not going to be upset. I'm just going to let it slide. But a lot of times, what I'm looking at when I look at customer surveys, the good or the bad, I look at that as a tip of the iceberg. If I'm looking at the bad, what happened here? Because remember, some of the customers will take no actions. They'll complain to the store manufacturer. They'll either stop buying my products. They're engaged in negative word of mouth. The ones I would want, I'd rather them have have a good, easy mechanism to come back, complain to me, so I could resolve the issue, do my damage control, and get that customer loving my product. Remember, because he buys my product or she buys my product is part of the brand image that I'm providing. So I want to always make sure that they come to me so I can respond to them, and then it also gives me data, and it's like primary information. What's wrong with my process? Where do I need to focus in? Remember, it's not that the whole process is wrong, but it's giving me little triggers how to improve myself. Okay, so it's almost like if you eat something that's real spicy and you got heartburn, then you know, oh geez, my stomach can't take all this acidy type of food or these really spicy type of food. So look at this satisfaction responses in that chapter, marketing strategies. How do I turn the consumer to favorable? What happens with an unfavorable consumer? How do I bring them around? What I'm looking for is committed customers, because when I have committed customers through this whole process and through this dissonance, if I can control after he purchased a large thing, I'll have a repeat purchase. I have them, they won't switch to another customers. To develop a brand loyalty. Make sure you know what a net promoter score is, and try to use some of these concepts inside your uh, what do you call it, in your forms, and you're using it. Because remember, you're cutting copy. A lot of the comments, everyone's helping each other out in a form, and now you're building up. So when it comes to next week, when you're going to talk about the form for your research paper, that's the last week, and you're going to be submitting it. Then you do your final exam. You have one more chapter, and we'll be almost done. Okay, so let's see. So that takes care of chapter 18, and now I'm going to go on chapter 19. What do I have in 19? 19 is a little different. It's talking about organizational behavior. In my background, teaching a class now called organizational behavior, and that class works for two major disciplines. It helps for management, organizational behavior. I have to understand what kind of managers to behave, because that's the culture. It helps for marketing, as we're teaching now, because there are a bunch of consumers, and how do I buy, understand the buying process. Remember, when I teach salesmanship, or if you've taken salesmanship, they tell you once you talk to the customer, don't let them go, make sure you get him or her to buy right away. You don't want them to leave because they're going to go someplace else. You want them to at least make a commitment in buying. In business, it's a little different. You use the same approach, only in business, I can't get them to buy right away because it's a business. So they have to, present my product. If I get another appointment, that's almost like closing a sale, and then I go to the next stage, because they're going to talk about buying centers. They're going to talk about reference groups. Everything you're doing as a consumer, only a little bit larger. Only in a business, if I am the purchaser or the buyer or a person, what do you call it, the buying or selling some of my product, I have to basically understand the consumer, and I have to look at it. If I make poor buying decisions, I could lose my job. The company could lose money. I have my goals are all based on how much I could contain the cost, how much I could get the best cost. Look at Walmart. Walmart gets the best cost out of all their things because they're a big company, and once you get the name and every recognition, whether you like Walmart or not, they know how to control their costs. Okay, so on this one here, you're going to talk about the organizational purchase, the decision purchase situations, steps in the decision process. So make sure you understand what a DMU is, and the decision making unit. Those are individuals within the decision. They can either buy just for the unit, or they're part of what do you call it, a buying center. Purchasing situations, the product life cycle. Where is the product in the life cycle, and how's the product life cycle? Is it a component of my part? Is it part of introduction, growth, maturity? How much do I want to pay for it, or do I want to bring a new product or a new like right now, I've got Windows 7. I converted to Windows 10. Geez, my goodness, it's not as intuitive as it is. Maybe if I was a Mac user, and so they say, because it's similar to what Apple is. To me, it's almost I'm getting better, but it's a little bit different. But I have to understand it, because all the new programs are going to be tied into the new operating Windows 10, because it works with the smartphone, the iPhone, and everything else. It's the iOS operating system. Okay, and then steps in the organization process. You have to understand the steps. You have to have a problem. You have to look for the information, evaluation, selection, purchase and decision, usage, and post-purchase evaluation. All the same things that consumers do and the companies are doing, it's only in a larger thing. Remember, if I get a relationship with a larger corporation, they are not one-time buyers. They are multiple repeat buyers, and that's the kind of customers I want. The problem when I have only one corporation that's my only customer is if he or she has problems, or if they find another supplier or vendor, boop, I'm out of business. You know what I mean? I just start straggling. So it's to my advantage. I may have two or three large major customers that I always supply, but I'm always out there trying to get the little. I try to get as many customers as I can. Remember, if I have too many customers and I can't supply their requests, I also in a business to business, they'll rate me poorly. Tell their other individuals, George cannot, or George's company cannot support or supply our needs as needed. So they'd have to look for another supplier, maybe just to help you out. But once they find that other supplier, now what if he or she, or that company does a better job than you? Now I've opened up the door. It's like all of a sudden, hey, I can't go someplace else. And if I'm married or something else, hey, you're my friend. Go out with my wife or anything else. You don't want to do that. Come on. I want that person, the relationship, that I control the relationship, and the relationship that they don't go outside the relationship to look and see what else is out there. I want to be the sole supplier. And that's why I have to always make sure in a business to business relationship, you have to understand a buyer segment, the internal forces, the reference groups, the external forces. All these I have to be always involved in. So wherever they come out there, the external forces, there is George's company. If I look at the reference group, there is George's company. So when they see me, to take care of the pulse dissonance that we learned last time, even when large companies buy, they see me all over and they say, hey, this is a good company. If anything else, I feel happy. I have to look at the Photoshop. I'm going to upgrade to Photoshop. I already got a Adobe, even though the other Photoshop, Adobe already got a name. I already know how to work with the system. I will pick up the brand name, good name. They may not be the best, there may be other ones, but why take the gamble? I'm spending that money. I already know what I'm going to get with them. They have a pretty good support system, and that's where we're at. All right, so that takes care of our two chapters here. We're doing pretty good. Let me just flip back in here, see what we have here. So chapter 10, week 10, covering chapters 18 and 19. We have a word 50 points, form 20 points, two exam 15, 15. You do well. You only have a couple more weeks with me, and I really enjoy listening to you, talking to you in the forums, and uh, once this class is over, I think some of you should at least get similarities, keep that relationship and everything else going. That's a good way of building a network going forward. Some of you are already in the business, some of you are not in the business. Those who are in the business, it's a good contact, a good person. Say, hey, I had you at Harper College and Marketing 247, Consumer Behavior. Remember how we had the forum and we communicate and we talk like this, and now I'm in the business. Hey, do you mind helping me out? And those connections, those ties, uh, this is one way. This is a good place that you build the trust and everything else. Okay, so I'll see you in the forums, and you only got a couple more weeks. Do the quizzes, do the forums. My name is Dr. George Mochocki. This is Marketing 247, covering chapters 18 and 19. We're at 50 points, and I'll see you in a little bit. I just got to flip the button. I'm doing this a little bit different. Okay, have a nice day.